The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Timberlake, Idaho, on your new apparatus, job number 27943. Please use this job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Here's a general view of the side of your apparatus. We'll now move into the very front bumper area. At the very bottom, you'll find two open-ended tow hooks. Moving up onto the face of the bumper, you'll find dual air horns. And moving over to the driver's side, you have an electronic siren. Moving up onto the very top of the bumper, the space between the bumper and the front of the apparatus, you'll find tub storage for hose. And as we move up onto the body, on the outside edges, you'll find a right and left turn indicator. Moving to the lower section of the headlight cluster, the outer is the low beam and the intersection is the high beams. Moving up from that location to the next cluster up, you'll find your right and left turn indicator, and on the inside, an emergency warning light. There are 3 windshield wipers across the front of your seamless glass windshield. Moving to the outer section, you have 2 sets of mirrors, in addition with a lower convex mirror. Up on the very top or the brow of the apparatus are your running lights. Located in the center is a center-fixed forward-facing floodlight. And at the very top of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Here are a couple image close-ups of those things that we just talked about. Here is your front bumper and the grille area. Moving down, we'll take a look at your air horn and also tow hooks. And moving just to the right or driver's side, you'll find your Code 3 electronic siren. Generalized view looking down into the tubbed area for hose storage in the very front bumper. And here's an image of your cluster of headlights in addition with warning and turn. Generalized view of the top section of your apparatus. And here's a close-up of that fixed forward-facing floodlight. Let's go ahead and move to the driver's side of the vehicle, and you'll see on the front bumper, right and left, you have warning lights located on the side of the bumpers, in addition with the marker light. Generalized view of the side of your apparatus. Your door locks are equipped with keyed entry. In addition, you have 2 grab rails on the side of your apparatus for entry and exit into the apparatus. Let's go ahead and take a look at the entire side of the apparatus, and we'll first start with the pump panel area. Let's start in the upper left-hand corner. You're going to find you have 3 grab handles located here. And now we'll start talking about a little bit of the components of the pump panel. Starting on the left side in the upper corner, this is your number 1 crosslay. This is your number 2 crosslay. They are color-coded, and they are also foam capable. In the upper corner in the gray area, you'll find your master intake. Moving to the center between the 2 gauges, you'll find your test ports for vacuum and pressure. Moving up to the very top right-hand corner in the gray area, this is your master discharge. To the right in the blue section, this is your water level for tank water. And in the upper right-hand corner, this is a turn, not a pull. This is your engine cooler. We'll move all the way over to the left-hand side in the red area. This is your Husky foam system. In the center section, there are instructions, and this is your foam level indicator for tank A. To the right of that, there is an additional instructions. As we move over to the right-hand side, you'll find an amber light if lit. That is a check transmission amber indicator. Down just beneath that amber indicator, this is a speaker or audible alarm. And to the right, this is your Pierce TPG, which is your pressure governor. Moving to the right-hand side, there is a bank of switches. I have a close-up of that. We can talk about those switches in the next set of images. From that point, let's go ahead and move down to just beneath that to the primer for your fire pump. Here's a close-up images of crosslay 1 and crosslay 2. Once again, color-coded yellow and white. and they are also foam capable. Close up here of your Husky foam system. Here is your master intake and master discharge. This is the check engine amber light, and just beneath that, this is the audible alarm below it. Let's start with the rocker of switches here. Under the light, you'll find your panel lights. Underneath that, you'll find a pump engaged. This is an indicator, not a switch. And just beneath that, you'll find your driver's side floodlight and passenger side floodlight. At the very top and bottom of this cluster, there is also the ability to add additional future switches if needed. This is your fire pump primer. There are instructions here for priming just above that. I want to take a look at some of the discharge valves here for number 1 and number 2. The important part of those red labels indicating that there's foam capable, they all have that. This is your deluge discharge. And as we look over, you can see this one here, driver's side rear discharge. It has water and foam also. The one next to it, tank fill recirculating line. Here's an indication this valve, number 1 driver's side, is not foam capable and not labeled for that ability. This is your large diameter passenger side discharge in green. This is your job number at the very top. This is your test platform from 150, 200 to 250. And at the very bottom is your govern speed at 2380. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of those discharges. This is going to be your 2.5-inch discharges here for number 1 and number 3. And just beneath that, there is information here on the warning label regarding pressurized test ports, and also a warning label for your foam up in the upper right-hand corner regarding the mixing of different types of foams. Below that, please take a look at the warning labels here and check your owner's manual for future information. Once again, here is that foam information for not mixing concentrates. In the flag area here with the Pierce logo and the eagle, that's your large diameter intake. Moving to the right of that, this is going to be your foam system. This is the inlet port and also the control valve for that. Moving down to the very bottom left-hand corner, this is a 2.5-inch discharge port. Intake. Down at the very bottom across the 3 are your discharge drains. And at the very far right-hand side, this is your pump drain. There is also an access door. We'll talk about what's the components behind that. And at the very bottom, your manual pump shift. Close up here of your pump drain. Moving further down, this is your manual pump shift. There is instructions and a caution label just above that. Let's talk a little bit about the contents and components behind this door. On the left-hand side of the door, when it's open, you'll find instructions as to what's inside. The yellow handle is your foam handle here for horizontal for foam positions. And at the very top is your foam drain. Let's go ahead and move back underneath the large diameter discharge. These are going to be your deluge number 3 and rear discharge drains and your auxiliary 2.5-inch inlet. Here's a close of that driver's side auxiliary inlet. You can see it's a female port. Moving just under the step area of the pump panel, you'll find your foam manifold drain, foam pump discharge drain, and your foam pump intake drain. Just to the rear of this location, you'll find additional lighting for ground effects or perimeter lighting. Let's go ahead and take a look at the side of your apparatus. At the very top, you have a side-facing floodlight. And looking down just above the rear tire, you'll find an additional emergency warning side-facing light. Let's talk a little bit about the components here. They have roll-up compartment doors here. Once those compartment doors are open, we'll talk about the components with inside. Each of the compartments houses the ability to have adjustable shelves in a fixed position. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is the compartment just behind the rear pump panel, moving over the rear panel at the rear of the apparatus. And then directly in the middle, this is going to be that middle roll-up door. We'll talk about some of the components and accesses door below this as we start on the very front portion of the rear wheel. You'll find this access door. This is going to house your DEF fill in a blue cap. and also SCBA storage. In the rear section, you have SCBA storage in addition with a silver cap, which is your diesel fuel. General view here of the rear of the apparatus. We'll break down some of the components here. Let's first start at the upper corner. You have a 360 light at the very top, warning light, in addition with a rear-facing flood. At the very top, you can see you have rear-facing floods, directional. And as we look further down at the very bottom, this is the control that turns on those rear scene lights. In the very top of the apparatus bed, you have adjustable hose beds and also grab handles. This is the driver's rear discharge. It has the ability for water and foam. And the very top of your apparatus to the left, you'll find your water tank top fill, and to the right, your foam tank fill. In the very center, you'll find your large discharge for the deluge, and to the left, this is going to be your hydraulic pump for your foam, and there is a reservoir down at the very bottom, and it has hydraulic oil. There's information on the types of oil on another sheet, which we'll talk about here in the next set of images. Let's go ahead and look at the passenger side of the vehicle. As we move to the passenger side, with all the compartment doors open, you can see that all of the compartments here have the ability for mounting of adjustable equipment shelves. In addition, within the rear compartment, you can see this shelf is adjustable and fixed currently in its position. There are also guide rails on the very back for mounting of equipment. Let's take a look just to the rear section in between the tire. You'll find once again bottle storage and also an emergency light. And in the other section, just to the front section of that, you'll find additional bottle storage here. Just beneath this area, you'll find your exhaust warning label. This is regarding diesel exhaust and the temperatures with it. And at the very bottom, you'll find your exhaust. There is caution associated with parking close to flammable items. Let's go ahead and take a look at the midsection of your apparatus. First, let's talk at the very top of your apparatus. You can see your two discharges, cross lays. Those are cross lay 1 and cross lay 2. In addition, with an access door, as you look inside this access door, general viewing of the pump area. Lower section down below, you have a large diameter discharge, a large diameter intake, and at the very bottom, these are going to be your 4 discharge drains, color-coded and labeled. We'll talk a little bit behind this small access door. This is going to be for your large diameter intake. This is your pressure relief valve. And as we move underneath the apparatus, once again, you'll find perimeter lighting. Here's a side section of the mirror, flat on the very top and an additional convex portion below. As we look into the driver's seat here, you'll find these warning labels at every door point of entry regarding seatbelts, and you'll also find this on the driver door. This is your Pierce information regarding Timberlake Fire Protection District here. This is going to give you your date of manufacture. It's also going to provide you gross vehicle weight ratings, in addition with all of your information regarding fluids, VIN numbers, and tire pressures. Down at the lower section, you'll find an intake, which is an air intake. Moving to the right, this is your auto eject 20 amp shore power inlet. Moving up from that, you'll also find at the top your battery charger. Here is a close-up of that air inlet. The small upper portion there is a work or step light. This is the shore inlet, 120 VAC, 20 amp plug, auto eject. Looking just inside the cab here, we'll talk about some of the components here as we walk through the inside of the cab. Starting down at the very bottom, this is your Delta Volt system. This is a pro charging system, onboard charging system when plugged into shore power. Generalized view here of the front section of your apparatus, steering wheel. Let's talk about the components here. On the left-hand side of the operator, you'll find your height, 9 feet 10 inches, your length of your vehicle, 30 feet 0 inches, and the gross vehicle weight rating at 42,000 pounds. Just beneath that at the very bottom, in addition, you'll find your job number. The job number is also located on that yellow sticker on the driver's side. On the left, you're going to find your ignition. Just above that is your start switch. Moving over to the right, the small EM switch stands for Emergency Master. This controls all of your emergency lights. And moving to the right, this is your off for your headlights, middle for your park, and at the very top, on for your headlights. To the right-hand side, this is your panel rocker switch. This controls the brightness and dimness of your panel. Starting as a general view here, we'll start at the very top with your Code 3 electronic siren. At the very top, you have your Code 3 electronic siren in addition with your PA cable. Just beneath that, you'll find a pump in drive and also disengage retarder when the vehicle is in wet or slippery surfaces. To the right-hand side, you'll find your push to get windshield wiper fluid and turn for engaging the windshield wipers. Down at the lower section of switches here, let's talk about these rocker switches. It's an engine brake on-off. Next over, high, medium, and low for the engine brake, a future switch, a lockout tire chain, in addition with mirror heat and a load manager. Down below, the yellow pull for applying the parking brake and push to release. And to the right-hand side, this is going to be your transmission pad. Moving to the center of the dash area, you'll find your climate control, the gray area being heat defrost, red area being heat, and the next section over is blue is cool. Down just about right knee height, you'll find your main mirror control. And let's look overhead. You'll find push on red and white lights at the very top. And let's talk about the rockers over the operator's head. First, let's start with your emergency master. It's the same as that emergency master down low by the ignition. Roof light, front warning light, side warning light, rear warning light, and upper rear warning light on these rocker switches. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find your siren horn, the option of air horn or electric horn. You'll find your front visor flood. You'll find driver side flood, passenger side flood, and the rear scene lights. Moving just to the right of that, you'll find this puck style light. It is red in color if lit, and it's indicating you have a compartment door open or ajar. Just above that, you'll find your Pierce information for seat belts. Green being belted and in the seat properly, red being not belted. Generalized view of the rear section of your apparatus. You can see all the seats have SCBA installed in the seat itself. These are your two rear-facing seats. Located between those two rear-facing seats is this center compartment, which is gaining access for oil and transmission checks. Located behind the passenger seat, you'll find a shore power outlet. This is a 20 amp shore power outlet. This will operate your battery charger when plugged into shore power. This is a 20 amp shoreline outlet. It only receives power when you're plugged in from the 20 amp inlet. Looking to the rear, you'll find you have two center mounted SCBA seats forward facing. Congratulations, Timberlake, Idaho, on your new apparatus, job number 27943. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus or the content within this video, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.